President, my question is for the Minister for Small Business. Minister, many small coach tourism operators have been hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. In fact, many coach operators, small businesses, have seen 100% of future bookings cancelled, with in fact more than 1,000 of the 1,300 odd coaches in the coach tourism sector parked up, meaning that they have been placed in storage in the depot, batteries disconnected and mothballed. And I ask, what support has the state government provided to coach tourism small business operators, and will you advocate for waiving registration fees, effectively suspending but not cancelling the registration of those parked up coaches?
Mr. Pulford.
Thank you, President, and I thank Mr Davis for his question. And our tourism operators have been very significantly impacted by the pandemic, by the restriction in international travel, by the restriction in interstate travel, and indeed by the restrictions that required most of us to stay home for a lot of last year. And the hardship that they experience continues, and I think depending on which region people are operating on, there are some parts of our tourism sector that will recover more quickly with domestic travel increasing than others that have been so strongly supported by international tourism, which I think we all recognise is some way off returning. It is certainly regrettable, therefore, that the federal government in their recent support package for additional tourism industry support chose to largely overlook Victoria.
Thank you, Minister. Mr Davis on a point of order. Order.
On a point of order, I'm not here to defend the federal government, but it's a very specific question about coach operators, tourism operators, 1,300 of them in the state, small businesses in Victoria. It's not about the federal government.
Thank you.
It's about the state government and what assistance
they will give. Minister still got 2 minutes. Minister.
Thank you, President. So unlike the federal government that has chosen to prefer the tourism sectors in other parts of the country over Victoria, we've been working hard throughout last year and this year to support a recovery of our tourism industry. So specifically in terms of supports, I would draw Mr Davis's attention to the now must be 20 or perhaps more than 20 different programs and supports that exist for our business community, whether it's grants for cash flow or other programs that are continuing. Mr Davis, I think, was perhaps skirting around your ruling around ministerial responsibility when he asked specifically around any measures in relation to vehicle registration. But if I could, with your forbearance, President, reflect on a moment earlier in the pandemic and the pandemic response when I was in the roads portfolio, there certainly is a seasonal registration option that is available and that was taken up by many, including in this sector, earlier in the year. And I would encourage people to familiarise themselves with the measures that have already been put in place. But we will continue to support the tourism industry. I note that it took all of about 4 minutes for the latest round of travel vouchers to be snapped up. So it's wonderful to see Victorians enthusiastically supporting local travel opportunities while their ability to travel further and perhaps to some of their usual travel haunts has been constrained by the ongoing management of the pandemic. But we certainly encourage people across the Victorian community, when they have the opportunity, to shop local, to spend local and to holiday local where they can.
Mr Davis on a supplementary.
Well, President, the key question that I asked the Minister was, would she consider advocating for registration fee relief for these coaches? And the answer is she didn't want to go near that. She didn't want to touch. No, you didn't actually go to the suspension of the points. But let me just say, will the government consider providing coach tourism operators accredited by Transport Safety Victoria with a specific tourism and travel recovery grant of, say, $10,000 to help these small businesses relaunch their operations?
Minister Pulford.
Thank you, President. And it's yes, nice to see that amid all the turmoil the Liberal Party's been inflicting upon itself, while we've been hard at work governing the last few days, that it sounds like Mr Davis sounds like Mr. Oh, a bit sore, is it? We're a bit sensitive. You know, when there's only 31 of you, nine's actually not that far off half.
Thank you. Mr Davis on a point for order.
President, it was actually quite a specific question. It was not an opportunity to go on a frolic.
Thank you.
And I ask that you bring the member back to...
Minister, I advise you to get back to the answer. Thank you. Order. Minister.
Again, I would refer Mr Davis to the multiple support programs that the government has announced that exist. There are any number that these businesses will be eligible to apply for, and I think if you familiarised yourself with them, Mr Davis, you would know that is most definitely the case. And it's nice that you seem to have come up with a policy amid all the other activities.